because it is the space which is underlying the material manifestation. So the element Akasha is the fifth element if you count it from down: earth, water, fire, earth, and ether. But it's also the fifth element if you count it from up, because up there are the elements of our subtle body, which are called manas, buddhi, ahankara, and chitta. Chitta means the space of consciousness. Manas is the mind. Buddhi is the intelligence. And once I forgot. The ego. Don't forget the ego. How can I forget the ego? It is always alone. So this is ahankara. So the Akash is in the middle of the subtle reality, the spirit, and the consciousness space, and the material reality. And therefore, the information field, Akasha, is so important because it connects consciousness and the body. And what happens if consciousness and the body come together? We are alive. What happens if consciousness and body separate? We die. So therefore it's so important that consciousness and matter harmoniously live together. They live coherently together. Then we are healthy. So the art of the healthy living is to align consciousness and matter, to align the mind and the body. And this is one of the most important things which we want to achieve while using the healing. We are harmonizing the bioenergetic field. We are harmonizing the information field. And there is a word in Sanskrit for what we are harmonizing. It's the word prana. Prana is a word which means life itself, but it also means the living force, the life energy. The life energy is very closely connected to the information field. It's very closely connected to consciousness. A friend of mine gave me a hint that in one of the ancient scriptures in India, one of the Upanishads, it's called Prashna Upanishad, there is one verse which says that when consciousness throws its shadow on matter, this is prana. Prana, life energy, is the shadow or the projection, the reflection of consciousness on matter. And that's when I heard this from my friend, I was really excited because here in Healy we study this bioenergetic field, and we always have the goal to harmonize the bioenergetic field. So to harmonize the flow of prana. So how does prana connect to our body? How does the consciousness through prana connect to the body? And the answer is very surprising. To me it was very surprising when I understood this the first time. It is through the water in our body. 99.5% of the water, of the molecules in our body are water molecules. And the way how the water behaves in our body decides about our life energy. Life energy is the quantum structure of the water in our body. What does it mean? Quantum structure means that the molecules of water don't vibrate each for itself, but they vibrate together with one frequency, and not only with one frequency, but with one phase. The phase in the physics, some of you might know this still from school, or you might have some engineers. The phase, if two oscillators vibrate with the same phase, it means they're going up together, they're going down together. And in this way, they are not only having the same frequency, but they are also in phase, like a laser. The difference between normal light, as we have it here, and laser light is only that the laser light has one frequency, number one, and number two, that the photons are in phase. They vibrate together. Therefore, laser light can become so strong that you can cut steel with it. This is called coherence. Laser light is coherent light. Each photon vibrates together with all the other. They are like one photon. The same can happen to the body in our water, and it happens to the body, to the water in our body. It happens to the water in our body, otherwise we would not be alive. Being alive means that the water in our body vibrates coherently. It's called coherent domains. It starts very small, nanometers, micrometers. These are small areas of water molecules which vibrate together as if they would be one. They are catching photons, and they take the energy of the photons, the particle of life, to load them up with energy. The small domains become bigger and bigger. They can become centimeters big. And this is a coherent vibration, which is actually the prana, which is the life energy. Life energy, prana, is not an additional energy which comes from somewhere, which comes from outside. It's nothing else than the coherent vibration of the water with one frequency and in one phase. Of course, the frequencies are changing. And in some parts of the body, you have this frequency. In other parts, you have that frequency. You can measure these frequencies, for example, if you measure the EEG. In the EEG, you have a full spectrum of frequencies. Or you measure the heartbeat. Dr. Nita is doing this in her practice with all the patients, measuring the heartbeat and then analyzing the spectrum of frequencies which we find in the heartbeat. Our heart is in the center of our body. The heart chakra is in the center. There are 3 chakras above and three chakras below. So the 4th chakra is in the center. And the chakras is not esoteric knowledge, but it is actually scientific knowledge. What we call chakras, in medicine we call the psychoneuroendocrino-immunological system. This is a beautiful word which I learned by heart. I say it again because it sounds so nice. It's the psychoneuroendocrino-immunological system. It's the psyche which influences the neural system, which influences the endocrine system, the glands in our body, which influences the immune system. But everything starts, yes, in Ayurveda one does it by reading the pulse. This is the same what we are doing with the Healy watch. We're reading the pulse, and from the pulse we analyze the frequencies. You can look in the body wherever you want. Take the EEG, take the ECG, take the heart rate variability, or you can measure the frequencies of water with the spectroscopy. You find everywhere the same harmonic, coherent resonance frequencies. If we are a healthy person, and if the health deteriorates, this means the coherence of the different systems of our body, the coherence gets diminished. This means that the different parts, they don't play together, they don't vibrate together, they don't have one frequency, they don't have one phase. So that's happening. And therefore our goal is, we want to re-establish the coherence in our system. And it starts with the water. If the water is clear and pure in our body and it's coherent, then we will be much more healthy and also much more energetic, because remember, the coherent structure in the water in our body, this is prana. This is life. So this is what we want to increase. There's something very special which I learned from an Italian quantum field theorist, one of the leading quantum field theorists in the world. His name is Professor Giuseppe Vicello. And he, in the 80s already, he did this studies on quantum field theory, and he looked if you have an electric excitation, an electrical field, and electrical frequency. How does this electrical frequency propagate in the water of our bodies? This was his question. And he was in a group of 3-4 other physicists, one of them, very famous, his name is Emilio del Giudice, and they published this paper where they calculated how an electrical frequency, an electrical field propagates in water. Does it go like this, or does it go in all directions simultaneously? No, it propagates in the shape, it's called self-focused, self-propagating like a string, like a small thread, like a nylon thread, very thin and very long. And he was looking for this kind of structures. Where do we find it? We find it in the ancient yoga knowledge or Ayurvedic knowledge. It's called the nadis. The nadis is small energy channels, and they correspond to the way how electrical fields, electrical excitations of frequencies propagate. This is small strings, like the string of a violin. Imagine a wonderful violin. It has how many strings? How many strings does a violin have?
7.
4 only.
Oh, 4.
But you can also take a harp, like a beautiful Irish harp. It can have hundreds of strings. So our body has hundreds of these strings. They consist of coherent water, and they are very stable. You can take them and vibrate them, and they are very sensitive to frequencies. Professor Giuseppe Vicello, who was guest in my house 3 weeks ago, where we had a small scientific symposium about coherence, and I invited 18 scientists from all over Europe, 3 from Italy, from other countries, and we had a scientific symposium only about coherence for 3 days. And Giuseppe Vicello, he showed to us how these strings are very stable, like in a violin. If you play it strongly, it does not get destroyed. In the same way, these energy threads of coherent water in our system, in China they are also known as the meridians. It's the same structure, just from a different perspective. So, and Professor Vicello showed us how to calculate this. These strings, they resonate with frequencies. They are very sensitive to frequencies. And if you find the right resonance frequencies, they develop attracting forces. If you find other frequencies, they find repellent forces. So it's a very frequency sensitive system, the bioenergetic system of our body, and it's based